I'm Sofia. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching. I got so much energy today, guys. I can talk all day. Hey guys, I'm Mia, and I like to eat. All I like to do is eat and grab a mama's hair. Ready? We're gonna, oh, those big smiles. We're gonna do the mama dancing, huh? The one that we do every morning. The dance. The dance. You love to dance. Makes you happy. Hoo, 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 hoo. I think that was my favorite intro so far that I've ever done. And I've got my coffee, I've got my phone with me, and I actually did my hair today and my makeup. I obviously wanted to get through all these questions today. There's a lot, there's definitely a lot of questions, and I tried my best to actually put them all in my notes. So I'm gonna try to go through everything, answer everything with you, and there's a lot of juice in this video. I think more, yeah, this is the video I think where I'm gonna get like very personal. Not that I mean you guys haven't seen me be personal. I've been on social media for what, like 5 or 6 years now. I'm pretty sure you guys know me very, very well by now. Ryan is just with the girls right now. So I'm really lucky to be able to film this video because I knew it was gonna be a little bit long. My goodness. And if you watch my vlog, you guys know I'm like never really, I hardly wear makeup anymore, to be honest. So this is like a full face that I have going on. I really need to fix this lash. It's not glued, come on. Oh. Do you have merch coming? That's so funny because I feel like so many YouTubers have merch, and it's just one of the things I've never really been interested, to be honest, in doing. I've always kind of been more into makeup. I think if I were to ever have something online, I would want to expand on my brushes and make it into like a beauty cosmetics company, which I know I've talked about before. It's just obviously finding the time to balance and do all of that because it's very time consuming. And now with the twins, it's going to take me even longer, but it is something I want to do. How did you become an entrepreneur? I love your brushes and brand. That's a very long story. I think I talked about it in one of my other videos that I've done here, like a Q&A. If you want to watch that one, I think I went more into detail, but pretty much I was working at Holt Renfrew and I hated my job. I hated it. I hated working in cosmetics. I was doing the 9 to 5. I worked for Giorgio Armani, and I just really, really didn't like it. I loved doing makeup, but I didn't like working at a counter and like being in sales. So I knew I wanted to get out of that and start my own brand. So I think I started posting photos on my Instagram and showing my vanity and showing my makeup collection, which is where I started my whole social media career and how I started my brand, which is kind of cool, through Instagram. So once I noticed it was such a big thing and all these girls that I met, and really uplifted me too. Like I think I was very pushed, I'd say, from Ryan, and also a lot of you guys as well pushed me to starting my own brand. And I'll kind of get into that a little bit more after, because I know someone asked me if I had any help starting my brand, so I can kind of explain that a little bit after as well. But yeah, that's kind of how I began that. So I'd say through like Instagram and through you as well. Sorry if my voice is a little raspy as well. It's a little raspy right now. So I get asked this question a lot, like, how did you start your YouTube channel? What's some advice you'd give a new channel, someone that's just started out? And I honestly just threw up a video. It was, I don't know if you remember, if you've been following this long, it was my makeup collection. And I remember the entire time, my face was completely out of focus. It was so embarrassing. I think I took the video down because it was so bad, but I just still had so much support because I have always been someone that always comments back and always knows my followers by names, and that's always just been very important to me, communicating with my followers and subscribers. So that's something I've done since the beginning. So everyone was just still so positive and like you know, excited that I started my channel, which I actually started my channel with my friend Liz, Miss Liz Hart. We started at the same time, which was so awesome. And to just, I think, be able to start it with someone, it might help and encourage you to do it. Because I know it can be very nerve-wracking, obviously, putting yourself out there, and especially creating videos. It can be very nerve-wracking, but you get used to it over time. Like now I can just talk to the camera with no makeup. You guys see my vlogs, like I'm just like chatting like I would with Ryan or, you know, with my family. So it just becomes very easy once you don't feel like you always need to be on. Okay. What is the hardest change you've been through with becoming a mom? That's a really good question. balance multitasking. I know I've talked about that before, but it's for real. It is really hard to multitask, let alone make a coffee, like feed them in the morning, feed ourselves. Like there's a lot of times when we're forgetting to take care of ourselves because our girls consume our lives now. And you may see me making, you know, videos and stuff, you see the vlogs, but that's not 24 hours a day. That's like an hour out of my day, or like I'm taking little shots here and there that are just minutes long. So, you know, there's times where I'm kind of thinking, like, people are like, oh, do you do tummy time with the girls? I don't see you guys do that often. Like, you know, there's a lot more that's going on than just the whole like 30 minutes of a video, like a lot. And I wish I could, you know what, I should probably do a video where you can see them at the hardest points, but it's always hard because obviously we have to take care of the girls when they're throwing their tantrums or, you know, crying. And I think those times too, like it was hard for us at first, but you kind of just have to, you know, let them cry it out. And especially Sofia, she's so funny. She likes to throw little tantrums and she'll cry. And then she'll stop and look at you to see if you're looking at her. Like, she's so smart. It's actually so funny. I find babies are actually very smart on getting their way. So we learned to just kind of let her do her own thing a little bit, and then she'll be fine. Mia is just a very chill baby for most of the time, unless she's hungry. If she's hungry, she's not happy. But yeah, I think multitasking is definitely something that I want to work on, but I have been, and it's becoming a little bit easier now that I'm like, that they're getting a schedule, which is so important, which I will talk about because that's another question. I definitely feel like you can't judge the way that others are raising their babies or their children, and it's a learning experience for everybody, like it has been for Ryan and I, and we learn new things every day about being a parent. So when it comes to mom shaming, like I don't have time for that at all. And of course, every single person, and I'm gonna tell everybody that starts out a YouTube channel, like you're gonna see some of those hate comments, but either delete them, ignore them, block them. You can mute them now on YouTube, which is awesome. So if someone is regularly writing like nasty comments, you can mute them so they can't see that you're actually like blocking them or their comments from being seen. So it's just, I do that all the time, like, and I'm just, it is what it is. And I know it's the internet, it's social media, it's there's always going to be bullies and, you know, like mom shamers and everything like that. And I think, yeah, mom shaming is just as bad as bullies. Like it totally is, in my opinion, because I think it's just people being very rude about the way that you're doing things. And when it comes to babies, like that's just something you really, I find it such a touchy thing. Like it's, you can't tell someone to do something a certain way, or that they're doing it wrong. Like it's just, you gotta let people learn that on their own, and the way you want to do things and how you want to, you know, take care of your babies. So that is my opinion on it. Plan for 2019, how do you tell Mia and Sofia apart? So Mia and Sofia, I always say this to you guys, and it's true, and I always test Ryan too. I'm like, who's who? And like, we'll pull up photos where they really do look identical, and he always knows. He's like, that's Mia, that's Sofia. I'm like, yeah. But you know, like as a parent, we see them every day. Like they are looking more identical every day. Like I can definitely see that, but there are such slight differences on the way that they look. Like their eyes are different to me. Their noses are slightly different. Their size, obviously. Mia's bigger and more chubby. Sofia's a little bit more lean. But they are, like, their faces are definitely identical. Or if they're sleeping a certain way, it is hard to tell, like if it's a little bit like darker, we have the light off, and I'm like, oh, is that Mia or Sofia? But we definitely always know. But ways that you could tell for like say family, I think, well, his mom can tell the second that they start smiling. She says they have different smiles. So I think to everybody, they're a little different. Once you figure out what that is, then you definitely can like tell. But also like birthmarks, I heard once they get those as well, that's like how some people find out. But I heard the whole like nail polish on the toe, baby bracelets and stuff like that to tell them apart, but we honestly don't need that. And I'm just being honest, if I didn't know how to tell them apart, I would tell you, but we definitely can, and it's just become easy for us because we're with them all the time. How do you manage time with all your jobs, mom, etc.? Blessings. I definitely do have a lot of jobs. Sometimes it feels like. Now, I know I've talked about this before. Do I consider YouTube a job? I don't. And I know it's funny because I get a lot of people that ask me like, what's your job? Or I love your brand. I love this comment. I love your brand. I love your brushes. I love your channel, but what's your job? So I get that a lot, and that's okay because I don't think people know when it comes to social media or being like an influencer, what kinds of money they make. They make a lot of money. Like that, I will obviously just say, like, if you have like 1 million subscribers, you're doing well because you're getting a lot of sponsorships, endorsements, and it's almost like being a celebrity. Think about that. Like, I know Ryan's always talking to me about like hockey players and how much more they make just through like endorsements. It's crazy. For myself, I don't do a lot of sponsorships, and I'm sort of getting like a little, I've done a few. I'm getting a little bit more into that, obviously, now that, you know, both my channels are growing, and especially since having the girls, it's growing on the vlog channel. So here and there, like I'll get sponsorships, but it's just something like, that's also something I really want to work on for 2019 because I just have not found the time. And it's like on like one of the last things on my list. Like at the top, it's my babies, my family, and obviously my brand, and that's my career. So if we're wondering what my career is, it is my brand. And I've had my brand now for over 4 years, and it is very time consuming, and it may just look like brushes online to you. If you look at my online store, it may look very pretty. I do all of that. Like there's a lot of work that goes into it. I do have my assistant, which is Rhoda. She's been with me for so long, and if you go back in videos, you can see her. She's just like the sweetest soul I've ever met, and also has 2 boys and is a super mom. But it's really, really hard to have a full-time business and 2 babies. And even though my husband is home for the year, which I am so appreciative of, like I can't even imagine if he wasn't, to be honest, I'd probably be going insane. So to any mom that's at home alone for like the first while, like you are killing it, because it is not easy, and I know it's not. And that's with twins or a singleton. But he has been pulling through so much, and it's so nice because he actually sees now how hard I work. And not that he didn't trust that I worked hard like when he would be at his day job, but he sees it now. He sees like how I'm hopping from here to here on my laptop, filming, doing my website, doing emails. Like like I feel like sometimes it's a 24-hour job. Like it's crazy. I'll wake up at 3 in the morning, you know, if one of them wakes up, but they have been sleeping very well, but this was a few months ago, and I'd be doing emails, then, you know, playing with Sofia. It can be chaotic sometimes, but I think balance is everything. Balance is key. This question here is, how is your alopecia going? Mine is still bad, by the way. The girls are so cute. Thanks for disclosing that. I know like it's not easy always to disclose that, and when I did, it took me like years to come out with that on YouTube, just because it's something very personal, obviously, right, that I've dealt with my entire life. But since having the girls, I knew, because hair loss usually comes at like 4 to 6 months. And yes, I'm not sure if you can see from my roots, because I have a magic spray, which is the L'Oreal root spray. It is a miracle worker if you are starting to lose a little bit of hair. I'm not sure if you can see it because it's a little bit, I don't know if you can see it. Can you see that right there? So yeah, that's one of the spots. I have it on both sides, and then also in here, it is definitely thinning from the top, which I've actually never had before. So the reason why I was able to hide my alopecia so well is because it always was like in spots just behind my hair, where you couldn't see it. And I never used to wear my hair up. That was also another thing during high school and elementary. I always wore my hair down so no one would ever know. And I remember being so self-conscious of the wind. It used to drive me crazy because obviously when the wind would blow, like you'd be able to see underneath like all my spots. But I don't even think anybody knew in high school besides a few of my friends, and that's it. So I was able to keep it like pretty much from everybody, but I mean, it's nothing to be ashamed of, and I'm so open about it now. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that I have alopecia, and that's okay. Just because it's so common. It's very common. A lot of people have it, and there are things you can do. Like I was on the steroid spray, but that was when I was in high school, and it was very bad, and the spots were not growing back. So that's something you can like talk to your doctor about. But also that root spray really helps. And I know this is kind of like cliche to say, but like just try not to think about it as much as possible. And I know that may be hard, but I find when I'm not thinking about it subconsciously that it just magically grows back, and it's really true. And even my hairdresser said that. She's like, Steph, what the heck? The spots are completely full and grown in. And that was when I was pregnant. So my hair actually grew a lot more when I was pregnant. And then recently at the 4-month mark is when I started losing hair again. And I would just notice in the shower, like there'd be a lot more in the drain. So I think just being healthy and happy and try not to stress as much as possible. I know it's very hard to say that and give you that advice when you're a new mom, because really all you do is stress, to be honest. But just have a little bit of time for yourself. Something that helps me actually is I like to take a bath, and I'll say, Ryan, can you watch the girls? I'm gonna have like a 10-15 minute bath, and it's like, oh, so relaxing. I'll sometimes watch like Netflix or just scroll on Instagram in there and just like do me, you know, and have some me time. So I think that's really important, and I just always love having a bath. I find it really relaxing. So that's something I do. Okay. The next question was, your birth easy? No. My birth was not easy, and I don't think anybody's is. And I know I had a lot of questions on, did you get a C-section? Did you have a natural birth? So I did. I had a vaginal birth, and yeah, it was pretty insane. Like, I think I was in labor for 11 to 14 hours. I can't remember, something in there. But I didn't actually start feeling contractions until about like almost till the end. Like, I think it was like 11 hours or something like that. I started feeling contractions, which they were very shocked about, because they're like, you have 2 in there. And I got induced as well. So I went into the hospital not knowing that I was going to give birth that day. And I remember him going in. It was my OB that delivered the girls as well. So I went in, and we were kind of just like, oh, it's going to be next week. Like, I had them at 37 weeks, but we thought almost they were going to be until the end of 37 or 38 weeks. And he's like, looks like we're having them today. Like, super casually. And we were like, what? Like, this was 7 a.m. in the morning. So if you know that you can just feel it's coming, or like you're having bad contractions, like, eat as much as you can. I was starving. I was so hungry. I had nothing in my system. And I remember them giving me like a few popsicles, which is the only thing that you can have at the hospital, by the way. You can't eat any food when you're in labor. And yeah, anyways, I got a few popsicles, and I ended up puking. I puked, oh God, poor Ryan. Like, I think I puked for 6 hours straight, and that was the hard part. Like, and they did have to give me epidural, by the way, as well. And if you're having twins, you have to. And I had no idea about that, but I was gonna get it anyways. I wasn't one of those moms that was like, I'm gonna deal through this pain, and I don't believe in epidural. That's your own decision, of course. But I was like, I'm gonna have it, because I knew, I was like, twins? But I didn't know, so you actually have to, because it's a high-risk pregnancy, and it can go into a C-section, which mine almost did. Thank God it didn't, but it almost did. And so I did have my epidural, and then I still didn't feel contractions or anything. So I remember they had to use like the balloon to pop Mia's sac while she was still inside, and then they didn't pop Sofia's sac until they had Mia out, which is why I had the crazy loss of blood and fluid, which is a question that I get all the time. How did you lose so much weight? Which I will talk about too. I lost all my weight instantly after birth, like instantly, which is not always good, because I have a lot of stretch marks that I didn't want to get, and I took such good care of myself too, like before, but it just happened because all that fluid I lost, like all that water weight, all that extra fluid from the sacs. I'm happy that I had a vaginal birth. That was what I wanted, because I heard the recovery was so much easier. And with twins, I'm like, I definitely want to be able to recover, but a lot of twins are obviously C-section and scheduled C-sections usually. But since Mia was head down, they didn't really see a problem. It was only Sofia, which now I can see her personality. She's the exact same way, never stops moving. She must have turned like 50 times in my stomach. Every time we went to the ultrasound, she was upside down, upside down, upside down. And the lady, I remember, I think I was at 35 weeks. She's like, I don't even know how she's moving in there. I don't even know how she has room. So I'm thinking like she must be kicking Mia in the head, which makes sense now, because Mia's so still. She just wants to eat. And Sofia's the opposite. That's why she's so crazy, so lean, and their personalities are so different. So I get a lot of questions about that. Like, are they the same? No, they're so different. I can only imagine what they'll be like when they're like teenagers. Anyways, very sidetracked, but birth, yeah, puking for about 6 hours. And then I remember the nurse told me, I've never done a birth story, so this is the first time I'm actually addressing and talking about it. So I remember her telling me, and she said, I'm gonna make sure you don't have any tearing, any stitches, and I promise you that. And I remember thinking like, what? Like, how can you promise that? Like, oh my God. But she did keep her promise, and I could not believe what happened. So she told me, she said, we're gonna make these babies drop now, and I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna be in a lot of pain in the next like hour or so, or for the next hour or so. And holy moly, did I ever feel contractions. She pretty much like was getting them to push down. Like the babies were coming and like literally felt like they were gonna fall out. Like I remember telling Ryan, I was like, Ryan, I was in so much pain by this point and so angry at the world because I just went from feeling no pain, no contractions, like thinking, oh, this is so easy, to like, whoa, this is a lot of pain. And all I could feel was Mia's head. Like it just dropped. And then she was like, oh, she's like, it doesn't look like we can give you any more epidural, because she was gonna give me another dose before birth because I was there for so long that it wore off completely. So I didn't even get that. So went in to, because she had dropped so quickly, so fast, I went from like, I think 5 to 9 in like an hour or like 30 minutes. It was crazy. So they took me into like an OR room just in case you went into an emergency C-section. So it was just her, Ryan and I in there. There were like no other nurses at this time. I think once my OB came in, there were about like 10 nurses in there, and it was only Ryan and I, had no family in there, and I just wanted it to be that way. But like there were a whole lot of people in there. I was like, wow, this is a crowded room. But I think obviously when you're having twins, a lot of people like to see a natural birth with that, or vaginal birth. So there were a lot of people in there. There's also a student in there that he was like teaching, and I'm like, but I mean, what other way are they gonna learn, right? So I'm so happy and grateful though that I had my OB, because I must have been pushing. I pushed for over an hour, and I knew something was wrong because she was kind of getting frustrated a little bit, like with herself. She's like, oh shoot, okay, like she's like, keep pushing, we'll go on the next contraction. And I would push, and I remember she'd always, and apparently a lot of nurses say this, but she's like, Stephanie, push, like it's the biggest poo of your life. Like she was screaming that, and Ryan's like holding my hand, and it was so funny because she was telling Ryan, she's like, Ryan, tell your wife to tell Stephanie to like push, and Ryan would go, babe, push, like really quietly, and I got so mad at him. I'm like, don't you tell me to push. And it was so dramatic. But I was like, oh, I tell you, birth is just a whole story on its own, and everyone's story is different, but it was hilarious. Then I got so thirsty. I had by the way, have lip balm on. You have lip balm and water, because I was so thirsty I couldn't talk from throwing up. I threw up as well while giving birth. Like it was not a pretty sight, and poor Ryan had to get like this big bucket, which was actually what held my placenta after. Long story. Like there's nothing pretty about birth, to be honest, until your babies come out and you're holding them. But it was just crazy. And this make-believe curtain that exists in the movies where the husband doesn't see anything, that doesn't exist. I totally thought, I'm like, okay, where's this curtain? Because like I'm like, Ryan, don't look, and no, like you see everything. The man sees everything. Ryan saw everything, and Mia came out first. And by the way, so this is something I have not talked about on my channel ever or told you, but Mia actually got stuck. That was a complication with my pregnancy, or sorry, with my birth. So Mia got stuck behind my tailbone, and they had to use a forceps. So when I heard that, I was freaking out. I was like, what? Like, oh my God, I was so worried and scared. And it just, honestly, if it wasn't my OB, and like I was in such good hands, he was so good. Like he came in, he's like, no problem, he's like, we're gonna get her out. And meanwhile the nurse was stressing, so I think like he calmed everybody down in that room, thank God. So they got Mia out, and it was only the head. Honestly, I didn't feel Sofia at all. I didn't feel Mia's body. I just felt her head, and it felt like, just like, I would say like you're taking a poo or something like that, right? But it's just a lot of pressure. Like you feel a lot of pressure on your back and bum. So she came out, Mia came out, they gave her to me. And then Ryan, I actually couldn't see Sofia come out because I was already holding Mia, but Ryan saw her. He's like, she flew out. Like she flew out with her eyes wide open and was looking everywhere. Like it's so Sofia, because Mia is like, Mia's our chill little baby. And it's so funny because Mia just came out, and she came out not like crying at all, and I was like, oh my God. And then finally after like a few seconds she started crying. I'm like, thank God. But yeah, Sofia came out with her eyes wide open, Mia had her eyes closed. So they're just, from the get-go, they were very different. People are sometimes worried about like misshaped head that can happen. So there were no damages to Mia's head or anything like that, which they told us after. Like it all went very smooth. And people, I remember the nurses the next day, because we were there for 5 days, just to make sure I was recovering well. And Sofia was in the NICU. She was our little Nick baby, and she was in there for about a week, and she did so good. The only reason why she was in there, she's perfectly healthy, it was just because of her weight. So she's born at 4.5 pounds, but then when you're born, you go down another pound. So they had to wait until she got to 5. But she did really well, and I think they released her at like 4.8 pounds. So she did really well, and she's been feeding well ever since. and she's almost caught up to Mia, which is so crazy to me. And we had Mia the whole time, and it was just, I remember being so overwhelmed because like they literally give you your baby, they tell you to start feeding the baby right away, get her to latch, and like you're just kind of like, whoa, I just gave birth, like what, there's no break? So if you think there's a break, there's no break when you're at the hospital. But I mean, oh, I was taking so many photos of me, I couldn't even like tell you the feeling of like when you see your baby for the first time. It was just amazing. It was very hard though because we didn't have them together and I wanted them together so badly. So yeah, anyways, this question obviously went a lot longer, but it's more of my birth story that I did want to talk to you about. It's my most common frequently asked question, which I have not talked about yet, just because it was definitely something very difficult for me to deal with and go through, and that is why I stopped breastfeeding. So I have a lot of questions about that, and I'm about to give you my full honest answer. And I stopped at 3 months, and it was just not easy. Like I honestly wish I was one of those moms, because I tried ever since I was at the hospital to feed them both, and it was just, let me tell you, any mom that can breastfeed twins, honestly, like I applaud you, because it is not easy. And especially if you're trying to get them on the same schedule and feed them at the same time, like you'd have to put them both on your boob, and it's a lot of work. And I remember I was pumping. You have to feed twins every 2 to 3 hours when they're born for the first 2 months. So a normal singleton baby would be about a month, but our doctor recommended doing it for 2 to get their weights up because they were behind. And I had to pump every 2 hours, and I think I was going literally crazy because you get no sleep. You're washing out the pump or the machine, and you're like a zombie, a walking zombie. And he was up with me every 2 to 3 hours to feed them as well. And at first I was getting enough for one baby, but then and I never got enough for both of them. We always had to have formula, and the first formula we had was Similac, and that was the one that the hospital recommended, which the girls didn't do well on. So the girls were spitting up a lot, and their stomachs, you could tell they were having gas. But I actually switched them over to Enfamil and Enfamil Gentle Ease. It's the purple one. So I'll leave a link down below on the one that I buy from Amazon. Ever since I got the girls on this, they love it. Like they feed so well, and their stomachs, they can digest it, especially Sofia. She's tiny, and she was able to digest without spitting up a lot, which was our main concern. And they hardly have any gas, and it just is really gentle, and you can tell it's very liquidy, like breast milk. So for the first while I was giving them, we were doing like 30 to 50 ml that we would split between them. Of my breast milk, so I would get anything that I could pretty much, and it just wasn't even enough for like half of a baby. Like it was just so little, and I went through everything. Engorgement, we had to go to the hospital. And was that something I talked about like on my Instagram? No, I wasn't like, oh, going to the hospital to get them to pump out my engorgement. No, but it's just things that new moms and women go through. I'm sure you've gone through that too. Like it is so painful. Like my breast was so big. It's just so painful. And my neighbor's mom actually had to get the engorgement out and use like a hospital grade machine. And I was there for like an hour of her like getting the milk out, and oh my goodness. Anyways, it was just a lot. I've done everything, like the milk thistle pills, and they weren't helping, and I just was not seeing a lot of milk. And it got to the point where I wasn't even able to feed them as frequently. And I think this is obviously where it got like really hard, I think, for like Ryan and I too, because obviously it's so stressful for a couple at first. That's, we're honestly that couple that never really fight, and at first it is hard when you have 2 babies coming home with you and you're adjusting to that, and especially when you have Maxie too. So it was like having three children. But I think for me, it was unbelievably hard to be pumping every 2 hours, and when I wasn't feeding them, just to be, oh, okay, now that I'm not like pumping, like once you pump for that long, like you're just exhausted, and especially when you're getting so little. And it just made no sense, because I was like, you know what, this is interrupting like actually feeding them, and then not drinking enough, not latching enough, and it was just so hard. So I mean, if you want me to kind of go over that a little bit more, but I hope I kind of explained that to you, like my difficulties with it. And it's not for every mom, honestly, and I wish I was that mom that just had all this milk. Like I wish I was, because I'd be breastfeeding right now, but I wasn't, and it was really hard for me. me. So if you were that same way, I'd love to hear your story down below in the comments, because you guys know I love to read all my comments. But I just want to be open and honest. It is not easy. And if you are, like one of our friends had so much milk. I think she breastfed for over a year. I was like, good for you. Like, that's amazing that you had that much. And everyone's different. And our neighbor's mom is actually like the lactation consultant and the head one at the hospital. And she told me, she said, with twins, I'm going to be honest with you, not a lot of women do, and because it's so hard. And I think because you're feeding so frequently, like that was definitely the biggest stress that I had when coming home with 2 babies. That was the hardest part. So once I took that out, and once I realized, okay, like now they're doing so well on just formula, it's such an easier way of life for both Ryan and I, and we're not stressing as much. There's not much tension in the house, and it's just more manageable. Yeah, let me know if it worked out for you. That's completely awesome and amazing. And I know there's a lot of YouTube moms that have had good stories about breastfeeding, also negative ones, so everyone's different. These are the ones that I've never really answered or addressed before to make this video a little bit more helpful to you in getting to know me and just being open and honest. So the next one here is, who makes more money, you or Ryan? I wasn't sure if I wanted to even answer this question, just because it is very, very personal. I think anyone's finances is obviously very personal, and I'm not going to go up to a stranger or someone I don't know and say, hey, how much do you make? But like I said, I am going to be open and honest in this video. So I actually, yes, I do make more. But like I said, I wanted to get back to this question from before because I did want to mention how I started my company. So I don't even think I've really told anyone this besides my family and my close friends. But Ryan was actually like my investor when I started my business, and let me tell you, when he did something that nobody else would really do for someone, and I'm talking like he poured his life savings into my company. And there was a big deal that I had to do at the time, and I had to manufacture a lot of brushes for the deal I was doing, and he helped me with that. Like, he helped me pay that upfront money and cost of my business, which is not easy, trust me. Like, no bank is going to give you a loan. I couldn't even ask my family because it was a lump sum of money. And Ryan actually, his entire life, he's such a saver. He is such an amazing saver, and he always knew he wanted to work. He's worked since like he was 16. He's never taken a day off work, and I'm not joking, never. He's been sick as a dog and he still goes to work. He's like a machine. I used to call him a machine actually when we first started dating. I didn't understand it. I was like, what? Like, why are you just such a crazy workaholic? Why do you not take a day off? So he's worked his entire life. He's worked really hard, and he helped me start my company. And without him, I would not be where I am today, like at all. And he knows that. And when you become married, when you become a family, when you have kids, you become a team, and all our money is joined and together. And my money is his money, you know. So have I done really well in my career? I have. And I think more than anything, he's proud of me and everything that I've done, because I've worked really, really hard to get to where I am today and to be able to afford the things for me and Sofia. And that gets me to another thing. I think someone had asked me, I get asked a lot, like, how do you have nice things, and do you buy things, or do people send you those? And I buy everything. I buy everything myself with my own money. Am I a shopaholic? Of course, I definitely am. Not gonna lie about that. I love shopping. But am I able to? Yes. And I think if you are able to, if you do well, then go ahead, buy nice things, because I mean, my motto has always been, you only live once. And I definitely want to be that mom that's inspiring to me and Sofia and my kids, and wanting them to live their dreams. And I definitely feel like I've lived mine, and me and Sofia are definitely my dream come true. But I'm just so happy and grateful that I can be at home with them. And more than anything, I think, like, I am so happy that I can be home with them and take care of them. And I'm appreciative. And that was a lot of information. And also, I just feel like we're getting so personal. It's a lot, I think, to open up. And I've been on YouTube for years, and these videos, these Q&A videos, are always on a different level of personal. And I think not only for myself, like not only for you to get to know me, but I love getting to know you. And that is why I definitely want you to take over my comment section and definitely let me know about yourself. Let me know if you're a mom, if you're looking to be a mom, if you're pregnant, what your goals are for 2019. Like, answer some of the questions I've answered, because I would love to get to know you. And let me know how long you've been subscribed to my channel. If you're new as well, that's amazing. I'm glad to have you be a part of the fam. That's the thing, a lot of people ask me like what I would do without YouTube, but it's not my career, and it's always, I've never seen it to be that way. Even though there is money making, I'm not saying I don't make money from it. Is it money, livable money? No, by all means. I wouldn't even be able to afford one baby with what I make alone off YouTube, which is probably $1,000 a month, if that. So, I mean, no, formula alone costs me that much a month. So twins are very, very expensive as well. Like, having 2 children at once is definitely expensive. And oh, the other thing I did want to mention, we do, with our finances as well, we do have a life savings for me and Sofia, and it's an educational one that we just opened. So we want to get ready for their education. And if they want to, you know, go to school, or if they want to be entrepreneurs, and which runs in my family. My mom did that, my brother did that, so did I. We all own our own businesses. So I mean, whatever it is they want to do, I'm supportive, and you know, we're both those types of parents. So, oh, just so much to look forward to, you guys. And I know I've talked your ear off, which, oh my God, I'm gonna be late for my friend's opening, which is very soon, in the next like 15 minutes. I'm gonna be late, I think, but I'm so happy I filmed this and I got to talk to you, and we got to know each other a little bit better. If you're new here, or if you've been subscribed for a long time, maybe you just found out things that you didn't know about me and my family. I hope you learned some tips. And I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm getting sick or what this is. A little bit raspy. It could be because I've been talking for so long. Cold coffee. But anyways, I don't want to make this like this ending to this video super long. I just want to say thank you so much for being there, and I hope you leave some comments in the comment section letting me get to know you. And yeah, of course, I told you guys I have my new launch coming on Valentine's Day, so you will be the first to see it on this channel. And also go head on over to the vlog channel if you want to see me and Sofia. They just turned 5 months today. I'm so happy and proud of those girls. They're doing so well, and I'm going to be doing a full update video on what they are like today and everything that they're doing. Those little monkeys. But yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this Q&A and getting to know me, and I'll see you guys in the next video.